Welcome to another episode of Truth and Power with Pinaki. Today we dive into a powerful and provocative question. Why has anti Indian politics become not only mainstream, but historically inevitable in Bangladesh? Why does it seem like every major political actor from right to left, civil to military, must now confront the India question? And why is it that the so called cheap anti India politics has become the only surviving currency in a bankrupt political landscape? We have with us today Dr. Pinaki Bhattacharya to unpack this ideological terrain. Pinaki, let me begin with this. Why do you think anti Indian politics is no longer fringe but central in Bangladesh?
Because anti Indian politics is not a strategy, it's a necessity, a historical necessity, a psychological necessity, and ideological necessity. We were told by the army left intelligentsia in 80s that it was cheap politics, but if it is so cheap, why is everyone from BNP to CPB forced to buy into it now? It's because anti Indian sentiment in Bangladesh is not fundamentally against India, the state, but against the India, the ideological project, a project that seeks to overwrite Bangladesh's own political history, identity, and sovereignty.
So, are you saying this isn't about foreign relations at all, but something deeper, like more internal?
Exactly. Look at Mexico and the America. They had wars. But does Mexico have an anti American ideology built into their politics? No, because it doesn't need to. But Bangladesh has had to deal with something far worse, an internal ideological colonization that glorifies India not as neighbor, but as a philosophical homeland.
Right. So, this is where you argue that Bengali nationalism plays a dangerous role.
Yes, Bengali nationalism, unlike Tamil or Sikh nationalism, was never a threat to Delhi. In fact, it was born in colonial Kolkata, shaped by Bankim, romanticized by Vivekananda, and globalized by Tagore. That's why India doesn't fear Bengali nationalism, because it owns it. It authored it. That's also why, after 1971, when Bengali nationalism fell under public scrutiny in Bangladesh, it fled to India for shelter.
Dr. Bhattacharya, let's get into some of the deep history. You've argued that the transition from Hindustan to India wasn't linguistic, it was ideological. Can you please elaborate?
Of course, before 1857, even British documents referred to the land as Hindustan. After the Sipai revolt, the term British India took over. But the word India itself had already been circulating among Orientalists. Hindustan carried Persian flavors, Muslim inclusive meanings, but India was mythological. It evoked Mahabharat, Aryan supremacy, and Hindu civilizational narratives. So when they renamed the territory India, they are not just changing the level, they were remapping the history.
But how does this ideological repackaging affect Bangladesh specifically?
Because we are not just neighbors. We are supposed to be relatives in their Aryan imagination. When Muslim kills a cow in Naranganj, it's not just a local crime in Bangladesh. It becomes, in their eyes, a civilizational treason. Because the dominant idea in India is that this entire region, that includes Bangladesh, is the natural homeland of the Hindus. And anything Islamic here is an invasion.
That explains why RSS and BJP talk about Akhand Bharat. But where do the local collaborators come in?
That's the most insidious part. India doesn't need to send troops to control Bangladesh. They have exported an entire ideological army into universities, NGOs, medias, cultural fronts, and political discourse. They come armed with Ramendri culture, Muktijuddher Chetona, secularism, and so called progressive values. But this is not progress. This is proxy rule. They don't shoot with guns, but they shoot with narratives.
So, Pinaki, what you're saying is anti India politics is not anti Hindu or anti people, it's anti imperial, anti erasure.
Exactly. Anti Indian politics is memory politics, it is decolonization. It is reclaiming the right to say that we are not a province of Delhi, we are a nation. It's about refusing to let the history be narrated by the people who dream of Akhand Bharat.
That's powerful. So, Pinaki, your last words?
We are not fighting India, that's for sure. We are fighting the idea of India, the Aryan supremacist, mythologically fueled, new imperial state, and presented as a democracy. Anti India politics in Bangladesh is not hate, it is survival, it is love for the land, it is defense of history.
Thank you, Pinaki. And that brings us to the end of another eye opening episode. What you have just heard isn't just theory, it's the pulse of a wounded political reality still fighting for self definition. The next time you hear someone call anti India politics, quote unquote, cheap, remember this conversation. Remember that for Bangladesh, it may be the only form of resistance that still has teeth. Until next time, stay critical, stay grounded, and stay loud. This was Truth and Power with Pinaki.